Can we just take a moment to just highlight how ill Angie Martinez is guiding interviews and making her guests feel extremely comfortable?
Angie Martinez is honestly...
I wish you would return my text message.
Oh,
I've been texting you for weeks, Angie. Goddamn.
She's one of the best. She's one of the best hip-hop interviewers.
She really is. Like, she is the perfect person.
Oh yeah, interviews. Well, I wouldn't say she's the best for interviews in general. There's some.
Well, no, good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. Conversation.
She's top 5. I would say
top 5
She's
conversationalist that I really look forward to when she has these moments that she had with J. Cole.
Yeah.
Like, to get someone to feel so comfortable, even when she had the conversation with Maze. She's had a lot of high profile, of course, because it's Angie, but
yeah.
I mean, more recently, she's had some of the more groundbreaking interviews that, you know, you just kind of look at differently. Like, she asks the very different questions, and it makes her guests feel extremely comfortable.
Well, so Angie's when I came up in the journalism field, Angie was one of the people that I studied. Mm-hmm. And one thing that, like, especially we're taught in journalism is that, like, when you want to ask a question, but you know they may not answer, it's all about how you word it. It's all about how you put it together. It's even all about how you lead up to that question. Yeah. And how she does it. Like, you could tell that it's very conversational, but there's purpose and there's reason towards why she's saying a certain way, why she's doing it a certain way. Like, she's one that I studied when I got into the music media field. I mean, sports, obviously there's different people in sports, but when I got into music media, I studied her. I studied Rob Markman. There's a few others, but, like, just if you really pay attention, like, there's purpose and reason behind everything. Yeah. But she does it in a way where it's just so conversational. You get lost. You basically get lost in the combo.
Well, this is the thing. And I looked at her interviews, and and then I went back and watched the Charlamagne and Kanye interview again. Mm-hmm. There's certain questions that Charlamagne asks where you directly know what he's trying to get to, and you can kind of weed through it. It's like, yo, so I don't know, what was the medication that you took? You know what I'm saying? Where Kanye's like, nigga, I ain't about to answer that. Like, no. Yeah. I feel like if Angie would have asked that, it would have been different. Like, yeah, I know medications fucked me up. Like, the medication I was using, you know. So, like, she can guide people better to get more information out of them. And that's not a knock towards Charlamagne. I just it's really cadence to her genius.
Interviewing is an art form. I always tell people that it is an art form. There are some people that are meant for it and really good at it, and then there's some that aren't quite there. The same way that there are certain people that can really talk their way out of anything and everything. That's an art form.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why, like, for her, she's the kind of person where she can have the conversation, she can interview people, but she can get answers without even asking the direct question.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like she lets them talk. And that's another problem that a lot of people have when they're interviewing people. They don't let them talk.
Yeah.
The one rule we learned was there's so much power to silence.
Definitely.
Like, people feel so uncomfortable with silence that they feel the need that they have to fill it in more.
Definitely.
So when someone stops talking, don't say anything.
We learned that early on with our guests. Like, we would ask one question and they would just go. Like,
you just stop, and then when they finish their answer, you just don't say anything. And then they're like, oh, it feels awkward to them, so they're gonna fill it in with more, and then you can kind of go. Like, like I said, there's an art form, there's a psychology, and there's even it's all about who you are too. You know, there's some people that are meant to be great interviewers, and there's some people that just, you know, they do it, but, you know, they're not at the caliber of, like, an Angie Martinez or anything like that. So that's why it's very impressive, like, what she does.
So what did you learn from Cole? Because I learned a lot from Cole. I've said a lot that I don't really check for Cole's interviews just because I feel like he's very monotone. He's not really exciting to me, and I know that he's not that type of artist.
Yeah.
But with that said, I think I got a really better understanding of him.
Yeah.
Like, between listening to his message, between listening to the interview, and then between listening to how he just views things, I get why he is. It's probably one of my favorite interviews.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I always tell people is usually the interviews where people find so boring and they don't pay attention to, there's so much context in it. The one thing that really stood out to me that I really enjoy or really liked what he said was how why are we focused on mental health? It takes for someone to go into like a loony bin or something like that in order for us to even have conversation about mental health. Why aren't we having these conversations before that person even gets to that point?
Yeah.
And I think he was, you know, that was part of the conversation with when he was discussing the stuff with Kanye. And then like I also like the fact that how he talks about how he like meditates and that's helping him. And I just think that like there's certain things, especially stigmas, that we need to just get rid of. Like there are famous people that have mental health problems. And mental health, not in the sense of they're crazy, but they deal with anxiety, they deal with depression.
That was the one thing, not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I would have never thought that he was dealing with that.
With someone as calm and collected as he is. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he is always super calm. Like, you never see him, even when he's performing, he performs a certain way, and he has a certain level of energy, obviously, that he gives performing. But
Yeah.
I would have never thought in a million years that he deals with anxiety issues and depression and all this other stuff that he's been talking about.
Yeah, it's more,
And with a hint of addiction. Like, he started feeling himself needing substances just to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
yeah. I mean, the thing with anxiety though is like that's becoming more prevalent and more people are having that, and part of it is like the change in the work schedules, the change in how the family lives are compared to how it used to be, and just certain things like, you know, I deal with a little bit of anxiety, not to the point where like I have to be dependent on pills, but like what he was saying about meditation, I have to do meditation. I have to do certain meditation practices in order to keep myself at bay, keep myself calm, and I understand him. I understand the aspect of, you know, the having to be dependent on things in order to just feel even some level of calmness or some level of, you know, just equilibrium.
Yeah, I also found it very interesting that you said it earlier when he talked about like celebrities. I also found it interesting that he himself doesn't want to be a false prophet and doesn't really want there to be like celebrities. Like he said, he feels like there's gonna come a time where there aren't any celebrities. Like there's just gonna be people walking around, which I don't know how we would get there.
Yeah.
Like I think I would have loved for him to go a little bit more in depth, and I know he said he was going to just off air with Angie on his beliefs, but that's so interesting to me to hear someone say that, yo, I think in a few years from now there won't be any celebrities. Like, what will there be?
I mean, that's kind of hard, though, to say because, like, not saying everyone, but some of us we're just trained to idolize and to put certain people up on pedestals. Yeah. Like, the reason why I never do that is because my parents never raised me to idolize someone in that capacity. They said the only person that you should look up with such a high, mighty feeling is God himself. That's the only person.
Well, yeah. I think about that, right? Because I don't put anybody on that pedestal. But except for Kobe, he's the mama. But outside of that, I don't put anybody on that pedestal. But I think there's levels of that, like to be able to appreciate like certain artists for their artistry.
Yeah.
You kind of in a mix of things, like I'm sure people look, and he mentioned it, people look at him as a prophet of sorts.
Yeah.
But I think you can view people like that just because of the simple fact that you're changing someone's life through experiences and through expression and through music. I think there's so many different layers of it. I just don't. I would have loved to just hear like where his brain is at right now with just not even those types of people not even existing.
I think people, I mean, what you were saying, celebrities in a nutshell are just talented or very business savvy people that have gained the attention of the masses.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's kind of like in high school where you have the popular kids. The popular kids are only popular because most of the masses claim that they're popular. Mm-hmm. Some of them are also popular because they're talented and gifted, and some of them are just popular because it is what it is, you know? So I think like when you, like a lot of times, like I always tell people, especially like when, you know, I have people who are asking me, but like, how did you get into interviewing people and how do you handle like, they're just people who are just talented. Yeah. That's it. They're just people who are talented who just got backing, supporting, and just mass support.
But it's like exposure. Like not everyone can deal with that. Like, you know, being around celebrities, people that you see on TV, and you know, I always understand that.
I get that, but it's like you have to. That's okay. It kind of goes back to you know, I had a discussion with someone because they didn't like your comment on the last episode about Kanye and just like what he was saying, and you know, they were like,
"Can you tell me his name?"
You can go on my gram. I'm just kidding.
Fuck you. I don't know.
No. But like, just like, you know, I had a conversation with someone and I was like, you know, for me personally, I felt a certain way about obviously the slavery thing. Like that TMZ thing was crazy. But like, even before when he started talking, like we always are basing our feelings and thoughts of people or things on reactionary.
Well, wait,
like reactionary responses.
Now I want to know what he said. What was said? Like what? Did
no,
I
basically,
say that,
okay. So basically, along the lines, it was just and whoever's listening, if you're listening, like we're not throwing shade. I'm just showing a little context.
I just want to know. I don't really care.
Just like, you know, I was saying, it was when you said that there was something great that Kanye said before.
Oh, I stand by that. I don't care what you think.
But people were like, but they're only stuck on the slavery thing. And you know what? And I said to them, I was like, you know what? I said, yeah, that slavery thing was crazy. I said, but when I looked at certain context of what he was saying prior to that and what other people were saying, I started to understand. Yeah. And I had to push my own reactionary feelings aside. I said, a lot of times we base our opinions off of reactions.
Just off reaction.
I said, like, for example, Azalea Banks, what she said was legit.
It's legit.
I just said that she's not the person who should be saying it. Yeah. She's not the appropriate messenger. Yeah. But I think we have a tendency to just be so reactionary, and even reactionary to like how we respond to celebrities. Mm-hmm. How like if a celebrity came by, we'll be like, oh my God, not even thinking or feeling like, okay, are they taking their daughter to class? Yeah. Are they doing something with family? Like I've seen times where people were so reactionary to seeing a celeb that celeb is having dinner and seeing their family for the first time in months, and it's just like.
But that's the thing too. I factor in when your banks or just people of that stature that are trying to. They're fighting to get something out. Yeah. And I think it's only right to kind of do your due diligence to at least weed through. Especially doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I don't know that many people know that there were multiple clips of that Kanye rant. Yeah. Like, TMZ chopped the shit out of that one thing where you just have, even the dude, what's his name? The dude that spazzed on Kanye. What's his name? You guys seen
it pops up. Boop.
Yeah, I can't remember, but even his speech to Kanye was cut off. Yeah. Like there's a whole
dialogue,
gap of dialogue that's missing from there. That's what I'm basing that. I'm not basing it off of that one thing. Yeah. So yeah, I stand by that. I don't really care.
But what I had the conversation I had with that person, I was like, he's showing us how we're so reactionary to things that we oppose. Yeah, I said take out the TMZ thing. I said I thought that was a little bit crazy. But even when I watched the full interview, I still disagree with that stuff. But take that all aside. Even when he started initially saying things, we were instantly just reactionary and just instantly like, but it's like sometimes we need to listen to people that we don't agree with in order to understand or get some context or to have a different perspective.
Or even have
perspective. And I said, remove the extreme people, remove the racist people. I said, there are people that are just ignorant based off of personal experiences who can be changed from simple dialogue and conversations. And I was like, and the example I showed was, look, you and I are having a dialogue conversation. You don't agree with what we said or what I said, and I don't entirely agree with what you're saying, but we're having a dialogue and we're actually coming to a certain understanding when it comes to things. I said, that's missing in this day and age. And I said, that's the one thing that you can definitely take away from this Kanye thing, is how we're so reactionary based, and we could be having these dialogues and conversations that could help us get certain people to an understanding or help us get ourselves to a certain understanding to reach a higher plane when it comes to a conversation dialogue.
You gotta be open to those types of conversations. I think, especially as I've gotten older, I used to always be very reactionary.
Yeah, I was as a kid too.
You know what I'm saying? I was very reactionary. I used to take things to heart. Like, if you just take a second, and you don't even have to listen to the message. Mm-hmm. Or really understand the message, I should say. But
you never listen.
Listen. But if you just take a second to listen to the message and scale back all of the other shit that's happening in it, you should 100% be able to pick apart things that could matter or may make sense. I just think that that's logical thinking. I know that common sense is not common. I know that logical thinking is not always common either. So I get that, but I don't really care. But I mean.
You know what? I learned that aspect of it when I think the problem is a lot of times is some of us are not we're not taken out of our comfort zone, or we're not in areas or situations that are diversified.
Yeah.
So like for me, I had to learn that when I moved to Kentucky. When I went to school in Kentucky, different dynamics, different mindset, different way of thinking. And I really had to sit back sometimes and be like, you know what? Like there were times where certain people asked me, is your hair real? Or are you wearing a weave? And of course, I would, originally I would be like, what the fuck? But then after having a conversation with someone, I had to realize that coming to Kentucky, University of Kentucky, was the first time that this person has ever seen a black person live. Ever.
Yeah. And on top of it, I would think, all right, that must mean, I'm looking all right. You checking me out.
But for me, it's just like my reactionary aspect is the fact that like all black women have to have a weave. It's like a more generalized thing. But when I had for this person, I realized, okay, I always tell people there's a difference between racist and ignorance.
Yeah.
There's some people who are ignorant because they just haven't been around certain things. And I had to realize, you know what? I'd rather this person ask me a question than go throughout their entire life continue to be ignorant.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I have to take my reactionary feelings back and answer this person's question because this is the first time that they've ever in person are dealing with black people.
Yeah.
There are certain communities and towns in Kentucky, it's all white people, and that's just how it is. But I just think that like we're in a period of time where like everything is so reactionary. Like there are sometimes people react to things on Twitter without the full information or context, and they just react because everyone else is reacting.
Yeah.
But they don't. But once they realize, and they find out more info.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So to the person that you were talking to, I stand by my statement. I don't really care. But
more combos, more dialogue. That's all we need.
That's really the point of this. Think objectively is my way of thinking, especially now as I get older. I like to be able to dissect things that are happening, actions, beliefs, words, all of that. I like to be able to dissect it and inform my own opinion or take something from it. I think you can learn from any experience, good, bad, or indifferent. You can 100% learn from it. So, and that's my thing. But back to Cole, and now segueing from the Kanye, what I also learned from this interview is that he clearly didn't take well to Kanye posting his conversation and all that shit, and
I wouldn't either.
I don't think anybody would at that point. Like you think you're having a candid conversation.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting too, because you can tell that he was let down. Number one, because he was a huge Kanye fan. Number two, he said, at least it seemed like he was more let down because he didn't know how to kind of have the conversation because like, damn, I kind of look at you as like a prophet, but you're letting me down from your beliefs and all this other shit that you're doing. But on top of it, now I'm concerned in the middle of this conversation because I don't know whether I should be trying to help you or whether I should just be kind of sitting back because it's a new experience for me.
I mean, listen, even if on a regular level, I would have a problem if a friend is taking a conversation that's supposed to be A and B and posting it out to everyone. I would have a problem with that. As a friend, your friends should have the safe zone of checking you when you need to be checked.
Definitely.
That's what friends are supposed to do. Good friends are supposed to check you when you wildin'. And then you utilizing that to further prove a point or to use a message. And we don't even know what context. For like example, when he posted even some of the other texts, it was only a portion. You don't know the full conversation that they had. And so that, like, I get it. Like, I would be pissed off too. Like, yo, what the fuck? And even when he called him to make sure his text didn't go up, he still posted the call. It's like, dog.
Yeah.
I called you so you didn't air this shit out and you still did.
I would feel a way about that. I think anybody would feel a way about that, especially you when you're growing up a certain way with loyalty and stuff like that. Like that's just something you should know not to do.
That's the code.
Yeah.
That's like when Tristan Thompson was always pressured, trying to throw all the NBA players, saying, this is what happens to us. Yeah. Nah, dog, this is what happened to you.
That's just terrible.
They were like, what? No, that's not what we do.
I still think he's got to come up with better lies. Like, someone's got to help him.
No, own up to your shit. You were caught.
Yeah.
When you caught and it's on video and photos, own up to your
I'm all
shit.
for owning up. I'm saying the lie was just bad. Like, you were better off just saying, yo, my bad, versus saying, yo, they pressured me.
It's like, in the NBA, I was pressured there's so many vaginas in my faces.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't say no. I had to be giving. You know, we have to show love. We have to show compassion. That's what Kanye's. No, I was kidding. Yeah, but I can see him literally doing that.
Kanye wanted me to have this vagina.
Yo,
we're
Kanye
sharing,
said,
we're growing.
Kanye said, you know what? We must give love to the enemy, and to some people that's white women, that's Latina women.
And I wanted to be different.
And I had to show love. We had dialogue. You know, y'all didn't see. We had dialogue. We had dialogue for the vagina. That vagina talked to me real good. We had a great conversation.
And I talked back.
You know, sometimes conversations and dialogues, you don't have to move your mouth, though. You know that?
Oh, man. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Holy shit.
Oh, man. Oh, but speaking of the J. Cole thing, did you see the response from, was it YBN Cordae?
No. What I miss?
Wait, you didn't see that that video?
I might have seen it.
You definitely saw it.
I drank a lot this weekend. I drank a lot.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, I'm definitely gonna show you this because I think, where's that shit? Who put it in the group chat? Yo, we got a group chat. We get so much stuff in our group chat. Like, oh my gosh, like. But he was the latest rapper to respond to J. Cole. But like he would be the quote unquote like kids on drugs that J. Cole was referring to. But
not to cut you off before you play that though, but I also found interesting that Cole said that he was inspired by all of these up and coming artists, which I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is inspiring. They went against the grain. They went against some of them like, look, they did not need a label to pop off. That is pretty impressive that they built up enough fan base. They got to that point.
But that's to his point. At what cost?
Oh yeah, of course there's
about longevity and you know what I mean. Like Cole will forever be. He's transcending to be like a legacy act. Like if this was his last album, he could 100% still just tour off of his bodies of work.
Yo, J. Cole's the artist who would make a song. Yo, he could literally just pay someone else to rap his music at a show, and he now goes and he'll still be selling out. Like that's how much. Like, so this is the.
Young niggas won't listen and we know it, but old niggas always talking, never show it. You gotta practice what you preach, and the classes that you teach will eventually listen. My mind mentally prison. Lately all my idols, they've been failing me. Catch a sexual assaults and some felonies. Then you want me to listen what you telling me, and wanna hate when we sing our little melodies.
Shit, damn, I'm bugging. I was drunk. I'm sorry.
He's like, oh shit, how's the one?
Yeah, I thought that was dope.
But I like how he came back with bars.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
YBN, one of the cats from YBN is the one that dated
correct,
you know, what's her face? That just shows you I don't give a shit about none of this stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I didn't even know I didn't know that was a direct response to Cole until I actually listened to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was dope. I salute.
The one thing that I definitely learned, and I've had conversations with artists who are quote unquote, you know, the trap artists, the kids on drugs and stuff, or even some of them are not on drugs like that, but some of them, they said that they can spit bars, but they've had to quote unquote dumb it down because that's just what the masses is into now. You know, that's just how it is. And I think
everyone starts like that though, and maybe not everyone, but the majority of rappers start off trying to be lyrical. I mean, because from the culture and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't put it past a lot of these artists that they don't have bars. I just think that at points it'll never be displayed.
Bohan said that. Bohan said that about the Higher Brothers. Yeah. How they first started off with like boom bap, and they built an audience, and then they switched, and then they got the braids and everything like that. But it's just like, don't get it twisted. Some of these cats can spit. Yeah. It's just they are just doing what's marketable.
Designer too. Like if you listen to Designer's recent project, like it's not like you can understand him, and he's rapping. Yeah. I wasn't really mad at it. At the project, like I was like, holy shit, he really can rap.
Also, I think what probably impressed people also was that I think he might have done with the Breakfast Club, where he broke down like the vowels and what vowels grabbed attention. Like,
I'm not no joke of an artist. I really take this thing serious. I take this thing down to science, even down with the vowels and everything. Like the A's and the I's and the U's. I can tell you why songs are hits with the A's. like the A-I-O-U.
A-E-I-O-U.
A-E-I-O-U. You
And
know,
sometimes why.
And sometimes why. Heck yeah, exactly. And the A is just, I say the A is like the biggest vowel that catches the human ear. You know, so.
Break that down for me.
What I mean by that is when I go, it's like enjoyable for your ear. And it's like with songs like Panda and Gucci Gang, when you hear Gucci Gang, what's the vowel that you hear out of gang? It's the A.
Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, yeah.
It's the A. So your ear catches only vowels. So once I understand that and just knew that Panda was like Panda, it's the A. I just knew how to make things with vowels and learn how to always keep the A included and keep the I's and keep the G's and make sure the G goes because the G make you go g, g, g. And that's why I say I get a whole lot of money and just do like things like that and just keep the G's and things like that going on.
You got like, that's why like when a lot of people, you got to give designer more credit than what some people are giving him, because he really, like, for him to really be that focused and to break down vowels and everything like that, like, and because I've had a conversation with certain people and they're like, because of Panda, they're like, oh, well, he's gonna be gone and this is that. I'm like, I don't know about that. I said designer really hones in on certain aspects of his music and the edit, like it's just the way that he thinks is very critical. And the fact that he said that Panda focusing on the A for the hook because we focus on vowels, I was like,
it's smart.
That's smart.
I'm one of the people that's guilty of thinking that designer was going to be out of here only just because of how he was moving. Like,
well, he was quick. He was a quick.
But even outside of that record was so big, and 9 times out of 10, when you're an artist that comes out with that one big, humongous record first time out,
yeah.
If nothing is not. If nothing comes out that's comparable to that or on par with it, it makes it's very difficult to have that one smash and then have another smash, and then like that's when the real work starts.
But that's when you know, like, he knows his shit. I mean, the only problem with him is that when he came out so quick that he did not develop that loyal fan base that can continue pushing. You know, he didn't have that highly engaged group yet because he came out instantly and everyone was a fan, but he just didn't develop that. That was the only problem. But if he had that highly engaged fan base and that happened, like, dog, it would have been a little bit of a different ballpark. Definitely would have been a different ballpark.